Hello and welcome to the JTrain podcast. It's a Chit Chat Wednesday, and today's guest is Aaron Weber, hilarious comedian. He has a special that's out on YouTube right now called Signature Dish, and you can go to that special. The link is in the description of this episode, so watch this interview with Aaron and then go watch it because it's hilarious. It's produced by Nate Productions, which is Nate Bargatze's company, because Aaron opens for Nate on the road. So we talk a lot about going from these big shows where you're opening in stadiums for Nate Bargatze and you're taking private jets to his own gigs where he's doing towns in Alaska and he's doing smaller shows. And we get into some of his jokes, which are hilarious. He has one that I'm looking at about Tums that my first thought was, is this a bit you write because you open for Nate, who's a clean comedian, and you're told you have to be clean to open for him, and maybe you go down a road you never would have gone down before. He also has another bit about the Seattle hot dog, which stuck with me, and I ended up Googling what a Seattle hot dog was, and it's fantastic. He's incredibly hilarious, and he's doing it all from Nashville. I just love what Aaron's doing. He's a great guy, super funny. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the new JTrain podcast. Hello and welcome to the JTrain podcast. This is JTrain, Jared Freid, coming to you live from the West Village of Manhattan. That's right, every Wednesday it's a Chit Chat Wednesday, where I have a friend, a comedian, an expert on the show. Today, I would assume all three. Friend-ish. I like seeing this guy. Comedian, expert in Tums. Everybody. The creator of a new special that's on YouTube right now, and you can watch it, enjoy it, love it. I just watched it. It's fantastic. It is called Signature Dish. Give it up. Aaron Weber, thank you for coming on the show.
All right. Man. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. Are Tums big in the Jewish community?
Huge.
Sorry to come out of the gates like that, but
I mean, I think we are the reason. Had to have been a Jewish person. Had to have been. There's too many stomach issues.
You're a big percentage of their sales at least, right?
Absolutely. I can't imagine. Stomach issues kind of go hand in hand with the whole culture. It's cultural. Mm-hmm. That's all we talk about.
Have I ever told you the story? My wife is Jewish. I know you knew that. But have I ever told you the story when we first met and she told me about her stomach problems?
No. What did she say?
She was one of the first Jewish people I ever met. I'm from Alabama. I went
and
to
you were
Catholic
wooed right away. You just immediately you've never seen anything like her before.
I was like, I'm into the whole thing.
First Jew, I'll take it.
But my wife always, we were dating at the time, she always had a stomach ache. And I was like, what's the issue? And she goes, it's called Hebrew tummy. That's what she told me it was called.
Yeah.
So, I thought for years, this was like a real term that people used, Hebrew tummy. And I met, it was an agent or somebody at a comedy festival, and they said they had a stomach ache. And I was like, oh, little Hebrew tummy, huh? And he goes, what?
What did you just say to me? Yeah.
I go, no. My girlfriend's Jewish. I know all about it. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I think it's a real phenomenon, right? But the term is completely made up by my wife.
Right. But I mean, a normal person would go, oh, I get what you're saying. That's funny. Like to go, I don't know what you're talking about is like crazy.
But I said it like it was a medical term, almost like, oh, you have acid reflux.
Yes.
I said, oh, you have Hebrew tummy.
Clinical term, yeah. You better go to the doctor.
Exactly. So I've learned to just not trust her on stuff like that anymore. And now I've met more Jewish people. I've been in comedy long enough.
Good to know your first Jew you don't trust. That's a fun start for you and the people. The Tums bit spoke to me, just the idea that they have flavors. It's fantastic. Love the special. Everyone go watch it. It's called Signature Dish. Where are you now?
I just landed about an hour ago, Durham, North Carolina. I'm opening for Kathleen Madigan this weekend. That's why I'm in a nice hotel.
That's fun. Look at you.
Yeah. If I were in a hotel that I got, I would not have put so much of the room on display here.
Right, you'd be in a corner, and
I would have found a wall, and that's all
Yeah.
I want you to see. But these are the Kathleen Madigan digs here, so I'm
so
enjoying it.
how would you describe? Because I wouldn't consider the audience that's watching on YouTube or listening here to be a comedy audience. Like, this isn't going to be like people who have I would say they're a lot like me, where I was like I didn't know Kathleen Madigan, but I knew her, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
How would you explain Kathleen Madigan to the audience?
In my opinion, an all-time great who's been a theater act for 20 years. So think of
Right.
top 1% of comedians ever, and she's been at that level for decades.
We would describe
So
her
I
the
don't know if
same
you're
way.
this way, Jared. You start to just kind of respect longevity in this. Like, you've all known people, you have like a moment and you're selling tickets and then you kind of fade out of relevancy. But to do it at this high a level for almost as long as I've been alive is crazy.
So that's how I would describe her. I think what people don't realize is, like, comedy, like the amount of comedians that someone would go and that could do theaters, you could count on one hand before the internet existed. So, like, before the internet, there was like Regan, Madigan, like Earthquake, like like if you're like to think of like who would do these huge rooms, like
Right.
it didn't, and that were like word of mouth comedians, like that weren't like, because Kathleen Madigan, there's no sitcom, there's no
Right.
And I remember she showed up to the Duplex, which is a gay bar in New York that would do an open mic every Wednesday, and it was like a pull from a basket, and someone there was opening for her, and they brought her, and I did a bit. I can't remember what the bit was, but she complimented me on it. Like, and I was like, "That's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me." Like, having knowing who she was, and she showed up and she like crushed this. Like, she like went on at this open mic. Like,
yeah, that's
and
so
just
cool.
murdered. And
That's
it's like
so cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And so that's amazing that you're like, but I was gonna say, like, you, I think, probably do more weird towns than most comedians.
I think so. I think a lot
Or is
of
that
that's
like
just,
the Nashville thing? Is that like you and Dusty Slay? Are you guys in the same group where you go to like a place I've only heard of like as like a truck stop?
Yes. Well, I think that's just being a comedian in the South.
Yeah.
Is you got all these little towns and you're doing spots there. Dusty was the first guy. He brought me on a Funny Business run. Funny Business is a company that books one-nighters and weird gigs all around America. So he was the first guy to take me. Went up through Michigan, through the UP, back around, through Wisconsin, and then just these towns I'd never heard of. I did a city hall in Wisconsin for a city of 500.
And the whole city's there? Is it like a town event?
52 people were there. It's more than 10% of the town.
That's a
pretty
big
crazy.
number. That's a big number.
That's a huge yield.
Yeah.
Try pulling that in New York City.
Not gonna happen.
So yeah, I feel it, and I'm doing a lot of weird corporate gigs, so that'll take me to weird areas.
Right.
Like
What's
a
the weirdest
in
place
our,
you've been lately? A place that you'd be like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah, Ketchikan, Alaska.
Ketchikan.
Alaska.
Ketchikan, like I'm catching a can. Ketchikan.
Yes. It's the salmon capital of the world.
Okay.
It was a small town right on the coast that was basically just a town of brothels where salmon fishermen would land and do what they needed to do and then hit the road again. And there's a guy there, Dion, great guy. He just wanted to start doing shows. So he hit me up randomly. Next thing I know, I'm on the Alaskan, like in the Alaskan wilderness on an
How do you
ATV.
get there? What's the travel?
You got to they have an airport, which is like a little island right outside the city. It's very small. You have to take a ferry from the airport to the city.
It's crazy.
So I took Alaskan Airlines from Seattle to Ketchikan.
How long's that flight?
I mean, maybe 45 minutes.
Seattle to Alaska's 45 minutes?
Yeah, Seattle's up there, man.
Why did I think that it was 6 hours from Seattle? Like, why was that?
Because
in
the
my head?
map in your head very rarely reflects the map of reality. That's what I've learned.
That
For
is
me, at least.
That's the thing about comedians. Like, we have these little facts. Like, We are actually the best and worst dinner party guests that could ever exist. Like, we could take over, like, the wrong comedian. We have such power to take over a whole night. Like, I was at a dinner party, and I was like, in my mind, I'm like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. Like, enough of you, enough of you, enough of you, enough of you. But I don't think a lot of comedians have that. And we have, like, these little nuggets, like, hey, Aaron, where you been? Ketchikan, Alaska. Like, the whole room is now zoned in on you. The whole room has questions. Everyone's like the press conference, like, sitting there with Trump after he says something crazy. They're like, no, MSNBC, what's Ketchikan? What do they fuck?
Yeah, just to give you an idea of what hanging out with comedians is like, there's a buddy of mine in Nashville who has kind of a very dialed-in form of autism.
Okay.
And I was doing a show with him. I get to the green room, and there's a game on TV. And I'm like, this is an old game. My friend was watching a regular season MLB game from 2011.
Okay.
Between the Angels and Mariners, two losing teams.
Yeah.
This is an inconsequential game, one of 162 that season. And my friend's just watching it. And I go, why are you watching this game? And he goes, I want to see how it shakes out. And he goes, I think Mike Trout hit a home run in this game. I go, how do you know this, dude?
Right.
How do you know any of this? So that's the kind of people that I'm just around on a daily basis.
Yeah, just weirdos with random facts and lots of time on their hands to think alone. Yeah, it's you reminded me of something. I was on the road and the game was going to be on like the playoffs. It was like Steelers were playing, I think in this playoff, Steelers played the Ravens. And on the TV is Steelers-Ravens. I'm like, I can't believe the game is on this early. What's going on? I'm watching it at the gym. And then I go back to my room. I'm watching it more. I'm like, I guess I'm losing my bet. Like, I had already bet on it. And then I realized, like, literally in the third quarter that it was the game they had played earlier in the season. It was the replay. I was so angry. I was like, can't you just put in the corner of the TV
replay or something.
Yeah. It's like they were trying to like get the numbers. Like half the audience was probably me, or maybe I'm the dumbest person alive.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're on the edge of your seat, like cheering for a game that already happened.
I'm sitting there like, so funny. I was like, I bet on this. Like, I think the over might hit. Like, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to ask you about the special. I love the special. I want everyone to go watch it. It's a perfect night on the couch. I had a lot of thoughts going in my head when I was watching.
Okay.
The Tums bit is great, and I was thinking you're part of the Nate Bargatze
coaching tree
universe. Yeah, coaching tree. I like that. Yes, that's the best way to put it, because you're not like working for Nate, but you're also like, it's like, you want, it's like, I was once part of the Bill Belichick tree, and then I went and got my own. Josh McDaniels becomes the head coach. I don't think any comedian is in service of another comedian. They're trying to do something for themselves. Like, last night I'm at the Cellar, and I got bumped by Bill Burr, and it's like, am I happy to have that happen? No, I want to go on fucking stage. I'm not a side character in Bill Burr's movie. I want to go on. Like, I want to kill.
Right.
And.
Right.
Then they were like, do you mind not going on? I was like, whatever you want. I'm not going to say I don't mind. I'm going to say whatever you need.
Yeah, I'll do what needs to be done.
Right. And then they were like, well, and then they came back up. They're like, you can do 7 after he's done. I was like, of course. I'm not going to go, no, but I can't follow Bill. Like, I'm not going to, like, I'm not, I have my own dreams that I want to achieve. So
exactly.
So you get, but I would assume, like, you are a product of your reality. Like, I went on the road with Michelle Wolf. I watched how hard she worked and how she wrote and how she worked out material and how she, like, put up put what hotels she put me in. You're in a nice hotel because of Kathleen Madigan. These are things that kind of turn into the coaching tree, isms. It's like what you do.
Totally.
So with Nate, where he is a clean comedian, and you're flying maybe private to these huge shows, so you can't really talk about travel. So now we've taken out, like, which is good. Like, it's actually setting you up for success. Do you find it? Because I was watching this Tums bit, which is there for, like, anyone could talk about the Tums flavors, but no one's talking about it. So you found something. Do you think that's because of necessity? Because you can't talk about travel because you're flying private, because who's going to relate to that?
Sure.
Maybe you have one story about it, but that's it. And then you can't be dirty because Nate won't allow it, right? And which, again, I think is a good thing.
Right.
Do you sit there going, what the fuck am I going to say? Like, is that part of it? Do you think it's helped? Do you have bits that you're like, I never would have done it had it not been for Nate?
No. It just worked out that way. That's kind of how I was from the start. And then
I wouldn't have called you a dirty comic or a travel comic anyways, but I agree with that. So
yeah, I just kind of fit into that world. I truly don't ever feel like I have like a hand tied behind my back, and I think I can't say things. Like I remember I met a comic in Phoenix, and he was like, "Man, I respect you, dude. 'Cause I got into comedy to say whatever I want." And I was like, well, I'm saying everything I want to say too.
Right.
I just have no desire to talk about some of the stuff that other comics do. Other comics who do it very well and I love. Right. It's just not my wheelhouse. Like I've always like just silly kind of nonsense, and and then maybe my family shows up to the crowd. Like that's always in the back of my mind. So that's how I've been kind of from day one. I mean, I dicked around a bit at open mics when I first started, but then like once it starts becoming a real thing, I was like, okay, let's dial in and do this the way I actually want to do it.
Like it does take it takes an incredible amount of confidence to go down story and nuance road. And I think like, I go watch Nate's stuff just because I'm like, okay, I'm telling the story about my family. Maybe this will like get me like in the rhythm about talking about my family, and like it can help that. Also to see someone be successful with it, like you don't bail because
Yeah, to sell out arenas talking about ketchup, like
right.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And that's the thing. I remember, like I was encouraged because I went to Europe and everyone was like, they let you air it out more. Like it's slower. Like they'll give you a chance so you can tell your stories. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start telling these stories. And it turned into like the next hour of talking about my parents. And I was like, it was like I needed that. Like you kind of there's a point where you go, I don't know if I would have done it without having seen it get done or gotten the opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Just the crowds are just different. They just are trained to kind of sit back and let you do your thing, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness.
In America, they're like, we need to laugh every 6 seconds.
Yeah, bring it. What's going on? And also in America, that guy, like that would annoy me too. Like people challenge your ego. They go, oh, I guess you don't talk about those things. You're safe. And it's like, I actually believe the opposite. I think it's way safer to talk about politics and sex these days than it is to talk about something like Tums.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm brave.
I never. You're brave. That was my whole thing. I just want to make sure people know how brave.
Thank you, man. It is a fun kind of challenge for me. Like I did the Tonight Show last week. I was able to run that set. Thank you, buddy. And to you too, man. You did it. You've done it since last time we talked.
I've done it.
But I got to run that set all over town, and I did like the I'm Dirty at 10:30 show or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just gonna do my set and kind of figure out a way to like I can have some enough edge or like anger or energy to still do well on this show, talking about a treadmill or whatever.
What I actually have found, and it's like I think it's more in our head than it is the audience head. Like even if you're at like the Dirty at 10:30, I go up like at a late night show. Like last night, I'm on stage at midnight on a Thursday, and the person before me is talking about whatever they're talking about, and I'm like, "Hey everybody, so I went to Europe alone recently," and like they're almost like, "What? Wait, what's going on here? Why is this his sad one-man show? What's going on?" Right. Like it actually makes it. Now I've gotten over the hump, but it takes time. I think that's why I would think like the Nate thing has to help just to be like.
Well, he definitely indirectly influences the culture in Nashville for sure. Just having a guy of that stature just around all the time. I mean, we do his podcast in the club. Right. It's the studio's in the club, so it shares a wall with the room. So it's like it's a part of it. So yeah, I think that trickles down to everything.
I'm coming to Nashville after I'm going to Australia and New Zealand, and afterwards I was like, I have this like new story I'm trying to do. And Lucy, your wife, who is, the manager at the club, I was like, that new room, I was like, I kind of want to, maybe I can go there. And I'm like, now that he's kind of like, now maybe that's like the Europe of America, where like the crowds are like, okay, we're getting something that's like a story. Like I'm kind of like hoping there's like an element of that.
Yeah, it can be. And I think that was part of why it was called The Lab. Was I think that they wanted to do some more experimental stuff in there and just understand it can be like I think Theo Vaughn or somebody just did a show in the small room, just a name of that level. I can't remember who, but yeah, that's where I taped the special, was in that small room. It's awesome.
The special looks great. If you want sparks to fly in and out of the bedroom, you need Via. Via's High Love Gummy strengthens libido, increases blood flow, and intensifies your experience. I love this. They've got THC and THC-free gummies and vapes, THCA flower, topicals, and calming drops made from the highest quality American-sourced hemp. Whatever you're looking for, Via delivers. I love Via because you can go to their website and order the type of high you'd like. If you want something that's going to make you a little bit more energized, you want something, the High Love Gummy, I think like what an experience to do with a partner. I just think doing it at all together is just a great way to connect and do something different and kind of add some excitement to the love life. They also have, CBD gummies to go to bed. I just like that you can go to Via's website and you can find the high or the dosage that will work for you. There's no medical card required, and Via ships legally to almost every state in the U.S. If you're over 21, check out the link to Via in the show notes and use the code JTrain to receive 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. I love that. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Support the show and tell them JTrain sent you. This month of love, elevate your love life with Via. I am such an endorser of just adding a little something different and fun to the relationship, and Via is a great way to do that. Did you miss getting a Valentine again this year? Maybe you stink. Grab some Lumi. Maybe you smell bad. Lumi is a whole body deodorant that controls BO for up to 72 hours, so you can use it wherever you need it. Whether that's under your arms or on your feet, choose from a variety of fresh, bright scents like clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut. I am a Lumi user. I'm smelling myself. I smell pretty good. I love the toasted coconut. It smells delicious. Well, that's the only word I can use for it. It smells like you want to like lick your own body. It's really good. And it works. That's all that matters. I'm going to tell you from my experience, it works. And they have different ways you can use it. They have different ways you can use it. They have creams, and they have the stick for the underarm. They have a spray. It's all good. Check out Lumi's solid deodorant stick, sweat control deodorant, and their spray deodorant. I love the spray. That's ideal for those hard to reach places. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and wipes, and free shipping. The mini body wash is great. And as a special offer for JTrain listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with my code. Use code FEATHER15 for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code FEATHER15 at LumiDeodorant.com. Support the show and tell them Jared sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Lumi. The special is awesome. Man. Everyone, the link is in the description of this episode. It is called Signature Dish. I want everyone to go watch it, flag it. And again, I say this all the time on this show whenever someone comes on with their special. Watch it soon. And go touch it. A comment, hey, I came here from JTrain. It means the world to us and nothing to you. So, when you help out like that, it is people don't understand. I think people think comedians, there's the most insecure person in the world will be like, so you think you're funny? And it's no, I don't think that. Please share, do anything you can. I need everything, please. And there's a bit about the Seattle dog.
Oh, okay? Yeah.
I am very interested in this because I was when I got to the bit, I'm ruining the bit, but I hope it makes people go watch the bit, because you order a hot dog at a baseball game and the guy makes it with cream cheese. And so the first time that happened, did you immediately go on stage in Seattle and be like, this is the greatest hot dog I've ever had? And they're like yelling from the crowd that it's the Seattle. When did you
No.
Because I didn't know that the Seattle dog was a cream cheese and onions on a hot dog with a, and it's actually on a bialy. Do you know have you looked up the origin?
No, I don't. I didn't do any real research.
No research.
No,
you just walked away. You go, that's the Seattle dog. Okay, so I did. I went and looked this up because I was because I go, in Maine, they'll put mayonnaise on hot dogs. And it's this place, Flo's Hot Dogs, is like a famous place. So I went and looked this up. Do you know the story? You ready?
Okay, I'd love to hear it.
The Seattle-style hot dog was invented in 1989 in the Pioneer Square neighborhood by Hadley Long, a vegetarian food vendor from Ohio, who operated a bagel cart on the sidewalk. So this was from the Hebrew tummy. Operated a bagel cart on the sidewalk between the Central Saloon and J&M Cafe and Card Room. Long originally served only vegetarian bagels and toppings from his cart, but soon gave in to the late-night demand for meat by adding hot dogs to his existing bagels and cream cheese. Wow. He sourced bialy-style buns from the Bagel Deli on Capitol Hill and spread both sides with cream cheese before adding a hot dog, naming his new recipe and cart Hadley's Bagel Dogs.
Wow.
That is incredible.
It makes perfect sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It also makes sense that it's hot dogs with a bagel because that's actually kosher.
Right.
So, right? So it might be a Hebrew national hot dog that's put with the cream cheese. That's how you can do the milk and meat, maybe. I don't know. These are all things that were coming to mind. When you did it the first time, were you just like, what the hell is going on?
Well, I'll say this. I don't know what ethnicity the guy was who gave me the hot dog. I don't think he was concerned about keeping kosher. I'll say that. But it kind of happened the way I tell it, where the guy goes, "What do you want on it?" And I go, just kind of whatever. And he just made what he makes all day long and gave it to me. And I talked about it for a while. I didn't talk about it on stage that night, but I told my friends.
I could feel that. I could feel that you were like going on and on about this hot dog that you had that you've never had that way. Yes.
I go, you can't believe how good. I never would have thought to put cream cheese on a hot dog. This is crazy. So I talked about it for 2 years. And then I came back to Seattle. I went to another baseball game and I got to find that hot dog stand. It's in the same spot. It's the same guy. And then I look at the menu and it's the Seattle dog and it's exactly what the guy made me. So I go, what an idiot I am.
Right.
So I talked about it on stage that weekend because I was like, y'all are not going to believe how stupid I am.
And what was their response in Seattle? Are they like, they're laughing right away because they're like, they know?
Yeah, they know right away. Yeah. And then if I've told that story in the surrounding areas, I kind of have to be like, y'all already know the end of this. I didn't.
Right.
But the rest of the country has never heard of this.
Never. I'm watching. I was zoned in because I love a local food thing. I love a local, why do they do that here? Also, I love baseball stadium food because a lot of baseball stadiums do local stuff.
Right.
That's a thing. They do clam chowder at Red Sox games.
Mm-hmm. It was an interesting thing because I probably could have. I was thinking about this a lot. I had fun talking about that on stage that weekend. I could have made a clip of that and posted it. And it just kind of lived and died there in Seattle, right?
Right.
But then I was like, this might actually be a thing. And then I did it for a year and a half, and now it's kind of the biggest laugh of the special is that story. So
that's the hard part of doing comedy is I have this Seattle bit, and you're kind of this is the crazy part that's going on right now. You're thinking in hashtags. You're well, it's going to be local, and they'll share it.
Yeah.
If you're from Seattle, you'll share it. And then you almost chop it off halfway because you're you don't even get to bring it around the country. And then, maybe you go to another, town and they got you start doing a bit. I remember there's this guy, Matt Walsh, very funny guy. He does a lot of commercials and stuff. And he's one of those people that, is it Matt Walsh? If you saw him, you'd know him.
Okay. Matt Walsh from Veep.
Not him.
Improv actor? Yeah.
Comedian. I'm like Googling.
Daily Wire host Matt Walsh.
No. He used to be around New York all the time.
Yeah.
And look at I Googled Matt comedian coffee milk and Nate Bargatze comes up immediately.
Of course.
Like that's crazy.
Of course.
So okay, I'm butchering his name. If you saw him, like he's in so many. He's got big red hair. He's a big guy, and he used to do stand up a lot around the city. Like when I first started, and you'd just be around shows, and he had this whole bit about state drinks, and how every state has its own state drink.
Yeah,
and how Rhode Island, the state drink is coffee milk. And how like and how there's states with like and it's funny, like maybe you had the coffee milk bit and you do it in Rhode Island and you go hashtag coffee milk, I am going to be the king of Rhode Island. Yeah. And it's like, but at the time, this guy going back, he's like, I remember he had like he started reading off states. He's like, water. This state, their drink is water. Like how like it made sense with the people from the state. And it's like,
yeah.
You know, like I don't know, like this isn't a death of comedy speech I'm giving, but it's like it kind of shows like it's nice to like hold off on that stuff.
Yeah, maybe give time for it to maybe become a thing.
Right. And maybe and you don't know where you're going to find that story from the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thanks
dude,
for watching the special,
of
by the way.
Of course. Well, that's the funny part about podcasts. No one thinks anyone watches their special. Like you go on assuming that you're going to have to talk about the special and the person who interviews you. Have you been on, let's talk shit about some of the interviews you've done for the special.
Yeah.
Have you been on something where you're like, I know this person read one sentence about me and that's what they're talking to me about?
Well, some of these, I've done these radio tours where they line up. Like I do like 40 radio calls a day. I'm sure you've done them where they're in like 15-minute increments. And a lot of times I'm just being patched in. You can tell they're looking at my info for the first time. And their interview is just reading through my bio line by line. They're like, so you're born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama.
Right.
Tell me about that.
They should actually, like I did that, and they should just be like, instead of a bio, they should just give these people, like, do it like, what's his name? Byron Allen. Byron Allen would do the comic show where he'd like pitch people their bits. Just say, like, tell me what you're going to tell me, and let's just get this over with. Let's
heard
stop
you had a
shit.
Seattle dog.
Right.
You know?
Done. Now you're in Seattle Dog, and you can see more on Signature Dish on YouTube right now. Like just, let's just make a deal. Let's not, like, it is interesting. It's like, man, we're all, like, so many of us are faking every day of our lives. Like,
yeah.
like we, and we only know that because we work hard to do this thing that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
Like we actually work hard to be able to like go to, Ketchikan, Alaska. And like, and we want the bit to be good. So few people are doing things to be good and just to get it done with. Like, and again, those radio guys, I get it. Like you're going to get like, who cares? It's a 15-minute filler and we gotta make the donuts, so to speak. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I think that's probably good. Just that not a lot of people fan your ego in this business, which I think is probably good. Right?
Well, we get humbled every day.
Right. I just did Detroit, Michigan, and I had never done comedy in Detroit in 10 years. I've never done comedy in Detroit, and people, whenever I would post dates, they would go, when are you going to come to Detroit? And I go, I'm going to get up there. And I finally book a date, right? And it's during the Lions playoff game.
Oy.
And so they just canceled the Saturday shows. They were like, nah, dude, nobody's coming. They go, we don't want to go. I don't want to go either. So it's just like, how humbled I am. Like, you think you're going to show up to Detroit like Palm Sunday, and they're on a donkey, and they but it's just nobody could care. My favorite story of that was right when Nate's podcast started. Me and Brian Bates, who does the podcast with us, me and him co-headlined a club in Utah. It was our first time doing something together since the podcast started. So we're killing time during the day. We walk around the mall and somebody bumps into us and he goes, "Oh my God, Brian Bates and Aaron Weber?" And I go, "Yeah. What's up, man?" He goes, "I love the podcast. I listen to y'all all the time. It's crazy. I bumped into y'all." He goes, "Can I get a picture?" I was like, "Yeah." And we couldn't believe it. We took a picture with him and then we go, "You coming to the show tonight?" And he goes, "Nah." Just so
right.
How hard is it to get somebody like that? Guy was our biggest fan, and he's like, "Nah, dude, I got stuff to do."
You're speaking to my soul. I mean, like, because I have from the beginning done other things to get people to the thing I want them to see. Like right. I've done podcasts. I yell at The Bachelor, and if you think about it too much, you'll get too frustrated. Like you'll just get too mad because you're like, I created this thing. I do this podcast to let you know that the podcast is the commercial, like to get you to the show. And you start to realize, you go, it's not worth it because it all comes back around. Like that guy, and I've had that where someone's like, they're almost like mystified as to why you're in town. Like they can't. Like I'll have people that are like, "Oh, you're coming to Alpharetta, Georgia, so let's do dinner, and you and I will like go out for the night." And I'm like, "What do you think I'm doing there? Do you think I'm like vacationing in Alpharetta by myself? Is that like what you think?" Like that's the thing that frustrates me. It's not that it's just that they don't understand that. Like, just don't say it to me,
Because for all intents and purposes, you're just a guy who talks for an hour.
Right.
So you're just going to talk for an hour. So they go, "What else are you going to do?"
Right.
I kind of want to have a day. I want to relax.
That's the other. Don't get me
iron my shirt.
Don't get me started. That how many dates I get asked on before. Let's go for drinks before the show, and I'm like, this is like a long night for me. This is like the drinks with you before the show is another show. Like I don't think you understand that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm the kind of guy, if somebody, like if they had fun at the show and then they go, "We're going to this bar after," I go, I'm going to be worse there than I was. Like, I don't know what you think this is.
You're a stronger man than I am because I'll be there. I'll be there. You know what I stopped doing? Accepting shots. That was
shots will get you quick. Yeah, you'll take a beer, right? Because then you can just kind of enjoy
nothing.
it.
I don't.
You don't take any drinks.
I'm like, let this just be. I'll buy everyone else drinks. I just don't want to be like, I don't buy another ticket. Like I don't want to like. Let's take the finances out of this because I just can't walk away from it. I'll just be like,
what's a cool thing? Speaking of Alaska, the bars in Alaska, we hung out at this pub after the show. Such a cool, like, it just felt like a real, like so many places you go to, it's kind of like fake blue collar, or they got like signs that look
John
weathered.
Taffer came in and turned it into a theme. Yes.
This felt like a real Alaskan fisherman bar, and it was very cool. Now, they told me that in rural Alaska, this is pretty common. They have a big bell at the front of the bar. Have you ever heard of this before?
No. Go ahead.
There's a big bell, and the tradition is if you've had a great day, if something happened to you, if you've had a windfall of any kind, the tradition is you show up to the bar, you ring the bell, and you buy a round for the whole bar.
Okay.
As like I've experienced something good, and I'd like to share it with you.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, this is amazing. And right after it was explained to me, a dude walked in, rang the bell, and he said, "I had a big sale today at work." And the whole pub got a bar and a drink. I was like, this is unbelievable.
This is, that's the tourism commercial for small town America. Like that is to me, if someone walked into a bar in New York City and rang a bell, everyone would be like, "Shut the fuck up." Get him! He's trying to take over the bar.
Dude. Well, I experienced that in New York City this past week after we taped the Tonight Show. They taped the Tonight Show at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then you got 7 hours before it airs, right?
It's the weirdest thing. They spit. You get done with it, and the show ends. You go up. For the people at home listening, you get done with your set. You're the last thing on the show. Jimmy Fallon he probably already said hello to you before, or maybe he said it before, and literally the show ends, and it's as if it was all a dream, and you just get spit out into New York City, and it's as if it never happened.
It's incredible. Like at 6:01, the Roots are walking out of the building.
Get me out of work. It goes from this is your big day to work's over. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. So you got 7 hours to kill. I'm like, where are we going to watch it? So we go to this bar in New York City. And the booker of the Tonight Show, Michael Cox, who's great. He
guy.
Knows all the people at the bar. He goes, put it on the TV. Dude, they could not care less.
Is there a bell for me to ring?
Like,
where's the
there's
bell?
Nothing, dude. No. So I'm like, it's me. I'm on the thing. Nobody cares, dude. Nobody's looking up. Not one person said a thing. So that's New York City. That's the difference between New York and Ketchikan. But I remember thinking, if I were in Alaska, I would have walked in that night and rang the bell and bought everybody around.
Absolutely, and happy to do it. Like, I mean, that
great.
bar again. The big sale? Can you imagine like how little the big sale matters here, or even Nashville, and how much the big sale mattered to everyone in that bar? They're like, yes, we did it.
Yes,
man. Well, listen, we did it. We have a great special. It's called Signature Dish. It's on YouTube right now. The link is in the bio of this episode. Go watch it. Enjoy it. Save it for a rainy day. But we want you to watch it right away. We want you to add to the numbers that make it go to Father Algorithm and please the algorithm gods above. So, Aaron Weber, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
You're the man. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it, man.
And enjoy the show tonight. I mean, what a fun
Thanks, dude.
Kathleen Madigan. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm Jared Freid. We'll be back next week. Boom.